This call is now being recorded.
Good morning. In today's class, I'm going to introduce a new branch of biology called aerobiology. When you hear this term aerobiology, what do you picturize? An aeroplane, isn't it? So, aerobiology is the study of biological particles in the atmosphere. The biological particles are also called as bioaerosols, which includes bacteria, fungi, pollen grains, insect scales. Apart from this, actinomyces spores, fern spores, algal spores, plant cells, insect and mite fragments, and its excreta, proteins, enzymes, antibiotics from biological processes, and mycotoxins. This is the list of bioaerosols which is found in the atmosphere. These are the components of bioaerosols. If you are an aerobiologist, you cannot, you can feel the air as well as you can see what are the components which is present in the atmosphere. So that is the beauty of the aerobiologist. You can see the unseen world of atmosphere. So before we go into any subject, it's very important to know the history of the subject. So aerobiology is not new. It was there during Talanzi's 1776, this, who disapproved the spontaneous generation of origin, and he developed a new theory, germ causing the diseases. So it was there during that time, and later Pasteur and Tyndall had a knowledge or was also aware of microbes or bioparticles in the atmosphere which caused contamination to the food products and the milk. So that is how the Tyndallization process was developed. So in 1850, Pierre Miguel of Paris has extensively studied the bacteria and the fungi of atmosphere of Paris. Later, in 1938, the aerobiology terminology was introduced by Fred Campbell Mayer. Before it was called as aeroplankton, and this aeroplankton terminology was given by Molish, a botanist, and later this terminology has been transferred to aerobiology by Fred Campbell Mayer, a plant pathologist of US, and to save he is most interested in plant pathogens which causes diseases to crops, and he has studied extensively on those disease causing microbes. And during one of his studies and during one of his flight towards Arctic region, the plane crashed and he died in the plane crash. And his dreams of aerobiology came true after his death. So in 1995, John Lassie has studied the indoor and outdoor environment in UK. So in 1973, P.H. Gregory, who's the father of aerobiology, was the head of the Department of Plant Pathology Department Department of Plant Pathology at Rothamsted Research Station, has done an enormous work on spore dispersal and sedimentation velocities. So he is considered as the father of aerobiology. Then was John Lassie's experiments on indoor and outdoor air mycoflora during 1995. So Lassie and Gregory had contributed a huge research on aerobiology. When we come to Indian aerobiology in India, it dates back to the Vedic period, that is 1500 and 5000 BC. And there are reports in the biblical literatures also that human diseases is caused due to the source of air. 500 BC, Lucretius has reported inhalation of contaminated air causes diseases. Agnihotra. So during Vedic period, there was a practice every day during morning and evening. Agnihotra was done, offerings to fire like milk, curd, ghee, honey, twigs of plants, medicinal plants was given to fire as offerings, which displays the foul smell of the air, and it cleanses the air of the indoor environment of the home as well as in the temples. The real aerobiological study started in 1873 by Cunningham. He's a British person during British India. He's a physician who studied the indoor environment of Calcutta jails, where the prisoners were uh, had fever, and this fever spread in the prison drastically, and he wanted to know what is the reason for the spread of the fever. And when he, with this small instrument, aeroconiscope, he identified certain particles, airborne particles, were the reason for the zymotic disease. So his reports were published in microscopic examination of air, and this was the first report from India on aerobiology. After this, there was a big lacuna in the study of aerobiology, and the aerobiological study was emphasized on plant pathology by various aerobiologists like Chatterjee in 1931, Mehta, who has done tremendous research on rust spores affecting the crops, and Rajan in 1952, Padmanabhan in 1953, and Sri Ramalu at 1955 59 on various crop plants like rice, wheat, jowar, bajra, potato, and grapes, vegetables. So after this work in Joshi et al. In 1972 showed the importance of study of spores at vertical distribution at different heights. So he said the spores should be monitored at various heights. So the various heights, the spore concentration also varied, their composition also varied. This concept was given by Joshi et al. In 1972. So how the aerobiology was started in India, we saw that, and how the association started, the Indian Aerobiological Society started in India. We have to know the history of it. So Shivpuri, Dr. D.N. Shivpuri of VP Chest Institute, Delhi, conducted the first aerobiological workshop in India in 1975, and aerobiologists and medical practitioners attended the workshop. And during this period, aerobiologists like Chanda, Tilak, Agarwal also participated. It was a 3 days program. The real foundation for Indian aerobiology was laid in a fourth international palynological conference, which was held in 1977 at Birbal Sahani Institute of Paleobotany, Lucknow. And the conference was conducted by Dr. P.K.K. Nair, who is the father of paleobotany and who is the president of Indian Palynological Society. So during this conference, the foundation pillar of Indian aerobiology was laid, and the Indian Aerobiological Society was started, and its head office was at Bose Institute, Calcutta, and the scientific body was Professor S. Chanda of Bose Institute, was a founder of and president of this society, and Professor Tilak of Mathwada University, Aurangabad, was the vice president, and Professor S.N. Nagashi of Bangalore University was the secretary. So this is how the Indian Aerobiological Society came into scene. So when you talk about the Indian aerobiology, it's very important to know uh, Professor S.T. Tilak of Marathwada University, Aurangabad. He's considered as father of aerobiology because he has done an extensive work on aerobiology in India. So the people who have to be remembered when you talk about aerobiology in India is Professor Sunirmal Chanda, who is a aeropalenologist from West Bengal, Shantiniketan, and Professor A.B. Singh of Delhi University. He has done aerobiological studies on pollen as well as fungi in Delhi and surrounding areas of Delhi in the northern part of India. And in the southern part, the aerobiological study was distributed by three people. It took up by three people. That is Professor Panduranga Vittal from University of Madras. He studied the aeromicrological and aeropalenological studies in Chennai and its surrounding areas. Professor Agashi, and again aeropalenologist who studied in the Bangalore and Karnataka state, and Professor P.P.K. Nair, who studied the aeropalenological and aerofungal or aeromycological studies in Kerala. So this aerobiology is being classified into two main branches: intramural aerobiology and extramural aerobiology. So intramural aerobiology talks about the airborne components which is found within the closed environment, within the four walls and the roof, is called as intramural aerobiology. Extramural aerobiology talks about the microbes which is found outdoors. Depending upon the airborne component studied, airborne particle study, which is again being classified into aeropalenology, which is the study of pollen grains in the atmosphere; aeromycology, which is the study of fungi in the atmosphere; aerobacteriology, which is the study of bacteria in the atmosphere; and aerovirology, which is the study of virus in the atmosphere. So this is the branch of aerobiology. Then it's very important to know how what is the scope of aerobiology. So we have seen the introduction of aerobiology, history of aerobiology. Then we need to know why the aerobiology has to be studied, to be known by the society. So aerobiology is an interdisciplinary subject. So it has connection with each and every branch of biology and various fields of biology, various fields. So it is an interdisciplinary science. So aerobiology in outer space. It is very important to know whether the microbes exist in the universe. So how it can be detected by the aerobiological studies in the universe or the space, which gives the knowledge that the then the existence of life can be is possible in the universe. So next is the animal diseases. So you know that diseases in animals is caused due to bacteria, fungi, and viruses. The study of various diseases which is caused by the airborne microbes to the animals, like mouth and foot disease, ephemeral fevers of cattle, laryngotrachea disease of poultry. All these are caused by the airborne pathogens on to the animals. So the study of these diseases comes under animal diseases. Next comes the biodeterioration. So biodeterioration and degradation of monuments, wall paintings, sculptures, the papers in the library, all this comes under biodeterioration. So the airborne bacteria, fungi plays a great role in the deterioration of our monuments. So The study of biodeterioration also has the aerobiology comes into scene there, and locust movements, the movement of the insects. During the May and May, we heard a news that there were grasshoppers coming into India, that is northern part of India, and seriously affecting our crop plants, that is wheats and many crops which was growing in the northern part of India, and it was a serious problem to the farmers. So this locust movement, so it is being reported that these grasshoppers came from Pakistan, which came into India and were affecting the crops. So the movement of insects is called as locust movement. This can also be studied in aerobiology. Anything which is found in the air, whether it may be a plant or it may be an animal which is found in the atmosphere, is called as what aerobiology. So movement of insects is called locust movement. So that aerobiology or concentrates even on that. So Palynology is study of pollen grains in the atmosphere, is palynology, and gene ecology is how the genetic transfer from one geographic region to the another. It may be a microbe, it may be a plant, a bacteria, it may be a fungi. You know that fungi, the fungal spores are carried from one place to the another by the dispersal mechanism. So when the fungi are transferred from one place to another, there is a gene transfer from one phytogeographic area to the another phytogeographic area. So this has a relationship on aerobiology. Next is the human disease. So many diseases like allergy, asthma, aspergillosis, um, all has an effect on the air. The bioparticles has an effect on these diseases, especially the bacteria and the fungi and the pollen grains causes diseases, allergic diseases to human beings. So agriculture, the farmlands, you know that crops are being seriously affected by the bacteria, fungi, and the viruses. So study of the microbes in this agricultural fields, you can control the crop destruction if you are an aerobiologist. So air pollution, which is let out into the atmosphere. So then it now India has been highly urbanized and industrialized, and the air has been highly polluted by various gases and chemical contaminants. So this monitoring of gas and chemicals in the atmosphere also comes into aerobiology. Then meteorological and aerobiology, they go hand in hand. So aerobiology tells what are the components of the atmosphere. So a meteorologist says the change in the temperature, humidity, and wind is caused by this particular bioparticles. So an aerobiologist is interested in the components which is found in the atmosphere. A meteorologist is interested in the climatic change by these components. So say the aerobiology and the meteorology department, they go hand in hand, and these biological particles act as an indicators of climate change. So aerobiology is also used in defense organizations. So it is used as a bio war. Now we are in the COVID pandemic situation. The whole world is facing it. It started in um, China, and it was pandemic, and it is almost spread throughout the world. It is called as bio war. The virus is spread throughout the world, and it has taken many lives. So this is one kind of bio war against the world. So microbes can also be used in defense for attacking the enemies. So next, as I already said, the aerobiology is been classified into two main groups, the intramural aerobiology and the extramural aerobiology. Intramural aerobiology, I already said, it's the study of biological components compounds which is found within the environment, or bioparticles within the environment, that is within the four walls and the roof, is intramural aerobiology. Extramural aerobiology is study of uh, bioparticles out in the outdoors. So what all is found indoors? So what are the indoor or intramural aerobiological studies take up is the home, hospitals, hotels, industries, place of worship, educational institutes, animal houses, transport system, malls, all these comes under intramural aerobiology. The extramural aerobiology is the garbage dumping sites, huge markets like Coimbatore, highways, agricultural fields, monitoring the city for air flora, public environments like parks, beaches, theme parks, all these comes under extramural aerobiology. So outdoor environments. So outdoor environments are the extramural aerobiology. What are the sampling sites? You can see this, the highway, the sampler in operation. So this is an extramural aerobiology, example of an extramural aerobiology. Again, a highway, the sampler in operation. This is the beach, the outdoor environment. It's an example of an extramural aerobiology. Mamallapuram, the tourist spot where huge crowd is gathered during holidays. The sampler in operation, this is an extramural aerobiology. Then occupational sites. The occupational sites are again categorized into two, the extramural and intramural. So we see the occupational sites extramural, the farmhouse. You can see the farmhouse, how the dung has been dumped. So it's a very good source for the multiplication of the microbes in this environment. Just think about the workers who are working in this environment and the people who are living around it. Garbage dumping site, a view. Vegetable market, where the organic waste is dumped in the premises, which is a very good source for the microbes, microbial growth. Again, a vegetable market showing the vegetables which is thrown here. It's a very good source for the microbes to thrive and survive and grow. And next comes the fish market. You can see huge organic waste is generated, which is being dumped near the market or dumped near the people. And just think about the people who are working here and people who come to the market, the microbial load, the bacteria and fungi and viral load in these areas. Fish market, the sampler in operation in the fish market. The solid waste dumping site, it is the area we have to say for the microbes. You see a huge lot of waste which is collected from the urban areas is dumped in the land, vacant land. This is called as solid waste dumping site. There are many solid waste dumping sites in Chennai like Kodungayur, Perumbudi. So the people living around these areas and the workers who every day they come here, and there are, it is a livelihood for many scavengers and lorries. You can see people carrying waste lorries to these in these areas. What about the health of these people? The lifespan of these people is very much reduced because in this area the microbial load of bacteria, fungi, and viruses is very high. You can see the sampler in operation. So occupational sites of intramural, indoor environments, the guinea pig house, the bedding material, the urinals, the excreta of the animals. It actually stings when you enter these guinea pig and rabbit houses because of, and all these are the sources for the microbes to grow. The rabbit house, again, the urinal and the excreta is left, which is a very good source for the microbes, microbial growth. The zoo, where the lioness and the lion is kept. They don't clean it properly, so the urine and the excreta is there lying, and the load of microbe and what will be the effect of these animals if they are there for a prolonged period of time. The food preparation unit, you see the condition here. It is a very good source. The spilt food is a good organic source for the microbes to multiply. Here you can see a hazy picture, the flour grinding area, the bioparticles. When he nails these particles, then think about his health conditions. It's also a very good source for the microbial uh, multiplication. Next is the intensive care unit in the hospitals, where it has to be very clean. And you know, the blood and the sputum samples here leads to the growth of the microbes, and the air conditioned. If the air condition is not maintained properly, it gives the spores into the atmosphere, and already these people are immunocompromised. Then think about the health of these people. You can see the sampler in operation. This is one indoor environment, intramural environment, and the veranda where the patients sit to visit the doctor. This place is also in the hospital is also uh, a source of microbes. Then comes the mortuary, where it has to be cleaned properly. Again, it is the source of microbes. It's an intramural environment. So, applications of aerobiology. So, as I already said during the scope of aerobiology, so for detecting the plant pathogens which causes diseases to the crops, aerobiology is very much required. Disease forecasting, when does the crop affect and what are the symptoms, how we can prevent the crop from these pathogens. All this is done in disease forecasting. So veterinary science, you know that animal diseases is caused due to airborne bacteria, fungi, and viruses. And the study of diseases is dealt in veterinary science or animal medicine. Then in medicine, toxicology, epidemiology, and allergy and dermatology. The humans are affected by the airborne bacteria, fungi, and pollen grains, and results in allergy and dermic infections like eczema. And study of these microbes, which causes diseases in humans, and aerobiology is very important. The techniques to learn the airborne microbes is very important. Then pharmaceutical industry, the quality of the tablets which we get, the how the industry is made producing, the tablet producing industry is maintained. So if it is not maintained properly, just think about the tablets which we get. Already the tablet is given to a patient. If it is not in a good condition, then again it's going to cause a serious effect on us. So the pharmaceutical industry, they check the environment constantly for the microbial load. The hospital environment is another area which has to be regularly monitored for the microbial load, especially the operation theaters and the intensive care unit should be regularly monitored for the microbial load uh, to prevent serious effect on the patients. Then the hotel, the food quality. If the microbial load is more in the atmosphere, it is definitely going to affect the food quality, and it's going to easily contaminate. And hospitality and indoor air quality is also affected. Hospitality, if you hire a if you go into a hotel, if the room has heavy load of microbes, if you are going to stay there for 24 hours in that particular room, definitely you are going to come out with allergic problems. So that is the indoor air quality of hotels is also very important. So architecture, in architecture, the indoor building should be free of microbes. So, indoor air quality, building related illnesses, sick building syndrome should be monitored within the home offices, work environments. So it should be taken into care by the aerobiologist. It should be regularly monitored to prevent diseases. Then in biotechnology, business process outsourcing or knowledge process outsourcing is what actually is. We used to get in India. It is not very. We are not bothered about aerobiology or what is present in the atmosphere. So whereas when you go to Western countries, especially in US, if you hire an apartment, so they give you a mole certificate stating that the house is free of moles. So if you find any mold in your house, especially in bathrooms, you can sue them for dollars. You can file a case and sue them for dollars. So this is there in Western countries. In India, it is not practiced. So every environment in US is monitored with an aerobiological instrument, and they give you a certificate called mold certificate that this particular place is free of mold. So we get samples from US and we monitor the samples and we send the results. So that is called as more knowledge process outsourcing. So they send the photographs of the slides. They take micro photographs of the slides and they send to us. We identify the microbes in that particular thing and we give the report. So that is knowledge process outsourcing, which we did in Marina Labs. So, what are the aerobiological centers in India? So, in Delhi, AB Singh, Bhatnagar, and Goa has done extensive work on North Indian aerobiology. That is, they studied aeropalenology and aeromycology. In Pune, in Marathwada University, S.T. Tilak has done an extensive work. In southern part of India, BPR Vittal and NK Udaya Prakash, who has extensively worked on aerobiological research, especially. They have even brought about the unmanned aerial vehicles and quadrotor to monitor the air and by Udaya Prakash. And in Andhra Pradesh, Sri Ramalu Subba Reddy, who's no more, and Janaki Bai and R.C. Rao has extensively worked on the aerobiology, and R.C. Rao is a specialist in aeroalgology. Jogdant, who's a mite specialist who studies the mite in the dust, and T.N. Moore also have studied the aerobiological work in Pune. Rangaswamy is a melitopalenologist, study of pollen grains in honey. His PhD work is on that. So he's a aeropalenologist who is in Devnagiri. A.S. Sauji in Nagpur, who is again an aerobiologist. Tiwari in Raipur, Pandey in Aurangabad, uh, Tidke in Amanavati, Karuna Verma in Johar, Chanda and Kashinath Bhattacharya from Shantiniketan, Agashi and Manjunath from Bangalore, who's an aeropaleontologist and aeromycologist, V.K. Jain from Bikaner, Manju Shahani from Allahabad. So these are the centers in India where aerobiological researches is going on. And these are the people who are working for aerobiology in India. So what are the aerobiological associations? The International Aerobiological Associations. So the aerobiological researchers throughout the world is discussed in this association, and they conduct a conference called as International Aerobiological Conference. So in this association, every 4 years they conduct a conference called as International Aerobiological Conference. They conduct in different countries. So, what are the associations in various international aerobiological associations? Is the Indian Aerobiological Association, Associana Italiana di Aerobiologia, AIA, Nordic Aerobiological Federation, Society Franci di Aerobiologica, Pan American Aerobiological Association in US, British Aerobiological Federation in Britain, and Gesellschaft for Aerobiology. So these are all the International Aerobiological Association. Each association conducts an conference to discuss the research's progress in aerobiology. And in an international aerobiology conference is conducted every 4 years in various countries to discuss about the latest recent developments in aerobiology. So this is the Indian Journal of Aerobiology, which is produced by the Indian Aerobiological Society. I already said when this Aerobiological Society was started during the history. I've told about this. So this Indian Aerobiological Society comes with an journal called as Indian Journal of Aerobiology, which is recognized by UGC. They also conduct conference every 2 years. In this conference, they discuss about the recent researches on aerobiology. So this is the journal. It has 2 volumes every year. It comes with 2 volumes. That is 2 volumes every year. So thank you for patiently listening. The next class we go see the second unit. Thank you.